Okay, so here we are in my rig. This is my character imported, and he's got extra bones, and the reason for that is so that he can be more noodly if I want him to be. Um, and I'll go ahead and show you the result of the rig here. So a lot of this is a bunch of IK controls. So let's go ahead and jump in, and I'll show you. This is This is his walk cycle. Now the cool thing here is that there's no animation here. Uh, I haven't made I haven't made a single animation or applied it to this character. This is all just IK. And if you don't know what IK is, that's inverse kinematics, and it is something that I find really cool in animation and design because I think it just makes things feel really alive if you can if you can get your IK stuff looking really good. So this is whoops, whoopsie daisies, wink, whoa. Just ignore his head snapping there. It's not perfect yet, but yeah, this is the result, and we can see him jumping around. You got these nice little back jumps, which are the same thing. He can sidestep, do his little sidestep walks, which I'm still calibrating stuff. But here we can even do one final little thing here. Whoa! There we go. There's his little legs kicking in the air. So yeah, that's the result. Um, and that is based off of all of these little points you're seeing in the air here, which I've only done the legs so far. But if I grab, ah, I got a lot of things to look for. They're named really poorly. Ignore my naming conventions. I will refactor. A lot of this started off as like, okay, I'm going to test. But then as you keep testing. So a lot of this stuff, the IK targets are based like this, where we're using some of Godot's solvers to solve some of these. We're using inverse kinematics to basically solve where these target bones should position themselves to. But I made a plugin because one thing that I realized when I was messing around with I was messing around with the Jacobian solvers and the two bone IKs, and the Jacobians have, if you look over here, they've got these limitations you can put in. You can use something called a joint limitation cone 3D that you can toss in. But the cone really didn't give kind of the fine-tuned control that I wanted, and it seemed tedious to not give me the result that I was looking for. And also, I don't have like a if you here I'll add one real quick. If you look, I have angle and I've got a single um, angle resource that I can control, and also I don't have any sort of visual for what this this joint limitation is doing. So I went ahead and made this thing. So this that I'm highlighting here, this bone rotation limiter, was made by me, and it packages our basically an array of bones that we list together from. It looks through the tree of the skeleton. So I've got this skeleton 3D, which has an armature, all of our bones over here, and our bone rotation limiter looks through. I created this little resource called bone limit. Um, right now I've got to type in the name to get this to work. So it scans through the names in the list and then finds uh, like this one looks for hip L. I'll try to find a way. I'm sure there's somewhere in the resources that I can scan through automatically and have like a list propagate. I just haven't done that yet. So, but what this does, and we're going to turn off our skeleton 3D here. There we go. Show our rest pose. Is it pops up? You can see my little on-screen drawings here. This is now a nice control over, I should highlight it so you can actually see. There we go. So this is a nice control over what the bones can do. Let's turn the legs off for a second. So right now we've got a nice Z rotation control. So it says the legs can wobble left and right a little bit. They can bend a little bit forward and then all the way up to this angle here. And then in terms of their top rotation, we only want the leg to be able to point, rotate a little bit. And that's controlled. I think that's one of these second ones here. And I'm having to put in like a minimum and maximum value. But am I on? This is the left leg too. Yeah, this should be the right one. This is at, I'm just going to go ahead and call this -7 so I can get back to it easily. But if we were to drag the -7 value around here on the, what is this, the X value, we can see that this updates in real time in our editor and can show us like, okay, the leg bone could bend way out here now. And obviously I want to turn that back to -7, and that will update. Whoa. But this has been great in terms of having like the nice real control that I want over the bones of my armature, and now I can use, because of that, some of the IK rigs along with my little limitation system here, and get kind of a nice result without having to. There's ways to do it. Like I'm sure I could have set this up between Blender and Godot, but I wanted a way to be able to do it inside of Godot and be able to see what I was doing, nice and visually. So I may release this plugin at some point so that other people can use it, because I'm sure this is something that people want. Somebody may be making one right now. I just looked around, couldn't find one, and so I decided to go ahead and whip it up. Um, and it took a little bit of extra time to do, but I think it was worth it, mostly because now it's part of what is helping my actual mesh. Let's turn the legs back on here. It's part of what's helping. Oh, I forgot to turn it back. We're T-posed. Let's see. Let's turn that back off. It's part of what is helping uh, this guy look as good as he does. It's still a little janky because I think there's a little bit of updating. I need to smooth out the way that it's updating um, based off of my plugin, because I'm not sure where in like the hierarchy of priority my plugin is like taking. I don't know where it's sitting in the hierarchy. You know what I mean? Because like the Jacobian or two bone IKs have to calculate, and then somewhere in there, which it took me some tweaking to get mine to kind of take highest priority. But obviously, I want the IK to solve and then update to whatever the limit says the limit is, and if it's outside of that, it should be to the closest limiting position, which is how I wrote it, and it seems to be working. But every once in a while, I'm noticing, just see that leg up there? That was outside of where where it said it should have been able to go. But for the most part, they are obeying the rules that are set. So I'm guessing it's just like a little bit of some of the IK solver stuff, just taking precedence every once in a while. So I'll have to work on that. But for the most part, I'm very happy with the result over our little character dude here. Um, and again, it's just the legs. Obviously, the legs and the head is not really solved. The head's just a regular IK right now. He's just looking around wherever I look. But whoa, wee. Yeah, there's so much stuff you can do with IK if you're trying to achieve a look that's anything like this. Or again, this is the beginning stages, but basically here I'll turn on a visual as well if you're still interested, so you can see what's going on the inside. We could look at, let's see, the foot wheel here. So this little plane is acting as my control source. It's got an IK target here on the back foot and another IK target for the left foot's over here and the right foot's over here. And then we've got this thing which is called the foot wheel. That's what I've called it. And what the foot wheel does is it in code, what I'm doing is scaling this plane on its x-axis or y-axis. So I'm scaling it on the y-axis up and down, which brings the feet closer and further away, right? So if I was to take it right now, I can scale that down and the feet will get closer or further away. So that's what the y-axis is doing. But then if we rotate the y-axis, or rotate the x-axis, sorry, we can turn this over, and because of those limitations on the bones, we get this lovely solve where the inverse kinematics are reaching that bone down to the furthest point, and then the solve can only get so far down, so this leg ends up pointing right towards our IK target, and this leg up here is pointing towards the top right target up here. I can't click on it. There it is. And so it becomes really obvious what's happening. And then the other thing that we're doing is in terms of our direction of momentum, we're using this, what I called it the step angle control because I'm all fancy. But actually, let's take this and put it a little bit closer to 90 just so this is easier to see. There we go. We can have this here. But then our step angle control up here, we just rotate this around on the y-axis. And that allows us to, pardon me, that allows us to control kind of the way that the legs are facing. So if we're over here at an angle, something like this, and again, the limits for where these rotations are and their clamps, so the clamping on this is in the code, but it's more fun to look at the stuff visually here. And then we can do the same thing. We could rotate this on the x-axis, and we're going to get a step that's kind of a sideways step. I don't know if you can see that from there. But he's going to, reach that foot forward, and then this foot kind of crosses the boundary this way. And so he gets this, sorry if you can hear that, that's my cat running on her wheel, her big cat wheel. But yeah, we get this, this new movement, and we can do so much with this. And it is something that I personally genuinely just love. Here we can turn his rig completely nearly sideways like this. And then all of a sudden we have a we have a wide crossing step is what this should be. Come over here and if we can get that. And then he'll that wide crossing step will kind of happen. And we can kind of see that in real time. Which in my head, this is one of those beautiful things of where we get to see code kind of come together and do something just really neat. Put that back at 0. And so obviously the solver's in there when I'm trying to solve what's going on. I'm kind of always what am I doing? I'm lerping this. I think I'm angle lerping this back to 0 all the time. And then I'm also trying to get this plane, so the step angle control, I'm trying to get back to 0. And then the foot control is always trying to get back to something similar to this position, where it's rotated at 90 degrees, and it's also trying to get to the smallest scale. And then velocity, as we increase velocity, we increase the scale that this guy's on, and eventually that will also result in a run. I haven't done the thing where we scale up velocities to the running point yet, but I will be doing that, and then we'll also be doing things like lifting this up in the air and stuff like, whoa, that looked bad, but it shouldn't look bad. If we scale that in, I still got to figure out a few things because it's not completely done, but some of this stuff, see what I mean? Like that, I got to figure that out. I'd like that to solve a little bit cleaner, but it could also be that I might just need to keep this a little bit lower, but you know what I mean? So yeah, if that was helpful to you at all, I hope it was. I don't know. I might be putting I might finish the plugin and put that out there so that other people can use this to kind of create a little bit more robust IK rigs a little bit easier in Godot. So that's all. I just thought I'd share that because I thought it was pretty cool. And now it's time for me to finish the rest of the rig here so that he can move and point and swing his arms and stuff like that. And also get his other arm. I didn't apply a mirror modifier when I drug this in here to experiment, so he's short in arm at the moment. So cool. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, hit me up if you're interested in the bone rotation limiter plugin, because I might put that in the asset library somewhere at some point. That's all. Happy coding and gaming. Happy game design. Happy game design.